Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network, live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman, Chief Content Officer of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode in which we review the Faves Fives picks that we put into the contest, dissect some of the games we might have left out. We're going to preview the early lines we already like for week 5. My co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional bettor, Simon Hunter, is joining me. Hello, Simon.
Chad, how we doing, brother?
We haven't been this happy since before the season started, and we're going to get to why. But I do like that right before we went on air, you said to me, oh man, there are some juicy lines next week. So I'm excited to dig in on that because we targeted a couple of lines that ended up in our contest plays that we landed on perfectly. At last, Simon, we finally had a week. We finally had a week where I'm not walking up to the third floor to my Tommy John home studio and I'm thinking, oh, I cannot believe we have to talk about these games. Our boosted money line parlay at Bet365 was the Colts and the Bucks. It won, actually won in the first half, thanks to the Bet365 no sweat offer that cashes people's tickets as soon as your team goes up by 17. We won our Simon Says, which was Indy +2. We won our exact decision, which was Bears -2.5. We won our big balls bet of the week, which was the Chargers +7.5. We'll get to it. Started the day 3-0 in the contest with the Bears, Colts, Bucks. Apparently, it's not just teams that need the preseason, Simon. We needed a little bit of it, too. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you believe you could beat our picks this season, be our guest. Let us pay you. Join the favorites.actionnetwork.com contest. It's really the Favorites podcast contest, but join at favorites.actionnetwork.com. Catch every episode live on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like. Subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code favorites, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. It was a crazy, crazy day. Let's run through the game. Simon, at one point today, two of our teams, Indy and Tampa, were up a combined 38-0 in the second quarter. And yet, we still found ourselves sweating. Both of those games midway through the third quarter, and the Colts made us sweat until the final minute. So let's start there. Look, it was a huge luck game, a game you liked from the beginning, a classic fade Tomlin spot, a classic sell high on the Steelers. For a half, Simon, we were absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah, I think it all came true. The only fear was their defense of the Colts, right? We talked before the game, all the injuries, and that was a little scary, but we were just saying, got to trust the number, got to play the number and play the situation, the spot. And obviously felt pretty good. But I would say if you're a Pittsburgh fan, even though it was the Colts defense, you got to be pretty excited about Justin Fields, right? He made a lot of plays that's like, okay, Justin Fields of the Bears would have thrown a pick here. He would have made a stupid fumble. He had a couple of big time plays in that game. So, unfortunately, what happened with Anthony Richardson, we'll see what's going on with him going forward. But not that big of a decrease, Chad, when I look at my model when Joe Flacco comes in there. So, as upset as I was when he went out because it changes the whole dynamic of the game. Hey, well, at least it's Joe Flacco. That was my first thought. And it's like he won't burn us hopefully in this game, and they just played it simple, and that's what they did, right? So you're right. Like that comeback got a little tight there at the end, but yeah, in the end, it all worked out.
So Joe Flacco came in, Anthony Richardson goes out, and I never was concerned. I mean, look, they were up 17-0 when Anthony Richardson, no, they were up 10-0 when Anthony Richardson went out. Joe Flacco comes in.
Throws a nice touchdown
Bro,
pass.
his first pass is a touchdown pass. They're up 17-0. So I wasn't that concerned. I'm thinking, okay, this is Jonathan Taylor time. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And like you said, like look, at the end of the first half, I want to look at the numbers here. Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco combined 12 of 18, 155 yards, two touchdowns against the Steelers D, and the Steelers needed a Chris Boswell 50-yarder to get on the board at the end of the half. Even through like most of the third, the Colts were crushing it. Matt Gay missed a field goal. And then all of a sudden, that Colts defense, I don't know if they're already not that good. And the injuries started to pile up. Like when the game tempo changed a little bit, I think it played to the advantage of the Steelers because Justin Fields was all of a sudden using his legs and tiring the Colts weakened at defensive line and secondary out. But all of a sudden, like Fields hits Pickens, then the Steelers score, and the next 90 minutes, it's just a sweat. Colts score, Steelers score, Colts score, Steelers score. Justin Fields was a real QB every time you fucking turned on red zone. The Steelers were in the red zone. He threw for 312 yards and a touchdown, completed 64% of his passes, ran for 55 yards and two touchdowns. He never Justin Fields, which was so frustrating.
Well, he did have
I
that
don't know
he
that.
had that dumb fumble, didn't he?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And we needed that.
Like, finally,
Yeah.
he pulled a Justin Fields on the final few plays, including a fumble. He has still never won a game. Great Evan Abrams stat when opponents score more than 20 points. How crazy is that?
I mean, it's crazy, but it's also like, I mean, he was on the Bears. I can't hold too much against him. He went through the dark days of the Bears. So that's why I wanted to give him a little flowers because I was like, when we were up 17-3, I was like, man, this is over. They ain't no way that they're coming back with Justin Fields. And like you just said, they hit a couple big plays and they just wore out that Colts defense where it ended up being a sweat. But again, never really in doubt, right? That was the nice thing about getting that number. It's like, yeah, it was like scary at the end there, but we were up the whole game. So that's always nice when you have a dog and you never really are down in a game.
Well, look, we got the extra field goal we needed, and that sort of helped and took a little bit of the pressure off. Or maybe we got the extra touchdown we needed. That took a little bit of the pressure off, but definitely when all of a sudden it was 27-24 and Fields has the ball, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I cannot believe we're going to lose this game and we're going to lose the money line parlay because the Colts couldn't hold a lead. It does make me think about next week, and we're going to talk about the Steelers Cowboys line later in the show. I know it's something I was looking at. I don't know if you were thinking about it. But I do wonder what the market will feel about Justin Fields' performance today. Okay. Uh, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. The line was 2.5. Kudos to you. I take no credit for this. All flowers for Simon because it went exactly the way you said it would. Eagles bad on the road as favorites. Incredibly injured Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, hot weather. They looked washed from the second the game started. Even when they tried to make a run, it was short lived. Well handicapped, Simon Hunter.
Yeah, those are the fun ones when it's like, we talked last Sunday night and I basically told you this is going to be one of our five. I know you were like, I don't want it to be. I can see it on your face. And I was like, I know this is painful to hear right now, but this is going to be. So that and the Colts are just two matchups. I start betting Sunday night, bet it throughout the week. And, this Tampa line went from 2.5 down to +1. And when the Colts line started going the other way, I was like, oh man, I wonder what professionals are coming on the other side. And, that never really happened here in this Tampa game. It was just all public, loving this Eagles squad after, Tampa kind of laid an egg the week before, which I said totally understandable. I got why the public perceived it that way, but we talked beforehand. All the injuries to the Eagles, it was going to be too much for them to overcome. When you're putting all that onto Hurts's plate and he's not playing consistent, right? He's turning the ball over too much. it's going to rear its ugly head eventually. And we just got really lucky that the Bucks just came out firing. Like those are the days when you bet on Baker. He's got it today. Like some days he does not have it. Like last week he did not have it. This week Baker was in his bag the whole game. So that's a fun one to bet because it was never really a worry. And then all of a sudden it was like a blocked extra point. The Eagles were only down 2 touchdowns. It was like, okay, is this actually going to be a sweat? And of course it was not. Tampa just absolutely rolled that one. So yeah, to start with those two in the 1 o'clock window, that's really nice. The boost to the ego.
Baker was in the kitchen mixing up something sweet for dessert. What do you think of that?
I thought there's so many ways you could have gone. That was probably one of the lamest ways.
I think the bigger, you're right about Baker. Look, he was amazing, just on
Tight
point.
windows. I mean, it was crazy some of his throws because I
He
watched
was
all
at
that
one
game.
point he was 13 of 15 for 144, 2 touchdowns. And then he had an RPO in which he kept the ball and scored a touchdown. Like
Yeah,
he
laid the
just
shoulder down on the safety. It
he
was
could do no
crazy.
wrong.
Yeah.
Like and I think we love Baker and we've always loved Baker and we loved Baker when he was on the Browns and he has such moxie and he got that team to the playoffs and he did it again last year with the Bucks and we were planning on fading the Bucks. We did not think he could rekindle this magic. They've had a little bit of like getting the right teams at the right time. They got the Eagles exactly at the right time to get the Eagles. I'm not discounting their
Same with the
win.
Lions. Like it's just
Yeah.
great wins to the resume where those could be tiebreakers come playoff time. So
Yes.
yeah, like you're saying, hats off to them and everything their coaching staff's doing right now.
Right. Because I was going to say, like, just because they're getting teams at the right time, they're also getting teams when they're coaching these teams, the Bucks up really well. Like Todd
Yeah.
Bowles, we were not Todd Bowles fans, and he's been incredibly impressive. There are 2 questions we have to ask ourselves going forward. Who are the Eagles right now? They're heading into the bye. It's going to be an excruciating couple of weeks for Philly fans. It's going to be a great couple of weeks for WIP and Philly Sports Radio. You should just start writing down the best lines. I don't know who we know if we know who the Bucks are yet. And that's going to be an interesting one to talk about for next week as well. I've already marked that one on my list. Who are these Buccaneers and what do we believe about them, how they've been coached, how they've played? I think we know exactly who the Chicago Bears are. We had them. They were the exact decision, 2.5. By the way, Indy was the Simon Says. I mean, these were 2 terrible teams. Like, it was a comedy of errors. At one point on the Bears' second drive, they had back-to-back offensive penalties and a 1st and 25. And Caleb Williams actually had if Jerry West is the logo for the NBA, the logo for NFL bloopers is a quarterback who goes to pass, fires his arm back, and the ball slips out of his hand before he has any forward motion. Caleb Williams had one of those today. Like they won, and we're going to get to how they won. But I know you put this on your main TV, and your friends were not happy about it.
No, I'm watching with a bunch of professional bettors, and these are, they got big money on some of these games, and they were just like, this game is garbage. Why are we watching this game? And I think the general view of Caleb Williams is what you're feeling right now, which is like these moments of greatness, and then these other moments of you keep this up, you're going to be out of the league in 5 years. Like it's really a roller coaster, and I mean. Again, I think it was 6-0 to start the game, whatever it was. And I'm just
Yeah,
thinking to myself, this might already be too big of a hole. Like now we're going to have Caleb Williams passing the rest of this game, which is the last place I wanted to be. But your team's just like we're going to talk about, man. They can pull teams down in the mud and make the game ugly, and they can win in different ways. And that's what's been, fun and exciting about this team. Like, they haven't had the easiest schedule to start the year with a rookie here. And you guys have been in just about every game.
totally.
So I think the bar is set so high. I mean, we haven't gotten to it yet, but like, the kid in Washington's, it's unfair, right? One looks completely in control, confident, calm, and Williams looks like what most rookies should look like, which is The bullets are flying. You've taken some really hard hits on your chin, so you got a little bit of noise in the back of your head being like telling you what to do. But overall, you had a great read on this game. Like you read the number right. We said the Rams would have a letdown after that huge win last week, and you kind of saw that, right? They didn't look like they had it that whole game. Where against the 49ers, they were able to move the ball. Against the Bears, they had these little moments, and then overall, things just kept stalling. It's just
Yeah.
their offense didn't look in sync today. So, yeah, we bet it at -1 on Sunday night. You talked about it all week. I think I bet it again at -2.5. It got up to 3. Put a little more on it this morning after we talked about it again, and it was just like, man. Once the game started, I was like, holy shit, I got a lot riding on this game. It's Caleb Williams, but yeah, that was a really fun game to watch and a good bet to win.
Well, look, we're going to talk about this with Jaden Daniels too, but what's interesting about Caleb Williams that is infuriating is he he just stands still in the pocket for sometimes up to a second and a half, which obviously doesn't seem like that long. But if you're a statue in the pocket and not making it difficult for the defensive linemen who are coming at you against a weak offensive line, it's
Yeah.
like he just gets swallowed up. And like it's so infuriating. It happened 3 or 4 times where he just did not freaking move and they got him. The Bears had 7 penalties in the first 20 minutes of gameplay. Like it was
It was bad
horrendous.
football. It was bad football.
Yeah,
That
but
first
to your
half.
point, I never felt like they were out of it. You said 6-0 was too big of a hole. Now that I've watched, no joke, every single play of this team's season so far, their defense has playmakers, and their defense was terrible today. Like Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams were ripping them apart in the middle of the field. They could not stop them. And then all of a sudden, in the second half, they started to play big boy football. They had a great 12-play drive for a touchdown, and they gave up a touchdown on the next drive.
No, it
The
was the
lead,
opening drive. That was scary. The opening drive of that second half was the Rams drove down the field. Williams
yeah,
ran a right up the middle touchdown.
yeah,
And I turned to my
again
buddy and
and
I go, all right,
again.
we might have a problem here. That they really ran through your guys' team. Like you said, they made adjustments and they took away their run, which is what they needed to do in that second half.
It was really impressive. And then they gave up a touchdown to the Rams. The lead was 2. And then they had another touchdown drive. This time it was almost entirely on the ground with DeAndre Swift
Yeah,
finally
Swift had
running
a good game.
forward. What's that?
I said, yeah, you're right. Swift had a good game.
He finally ran forward instead of like dancing. Remember we talked about on Thursday,
Yeah.
like he has the most exciting 3-yard runs ever. Ran forward, 36-yard touchdown run. And then they had a 4-minute drive that basically ended the game. Like the Rams had no time, terrible field position. Matthew Stafford threw a pick from deep in his own territory. Like they played like a real freaking football team.
And that's what, like, as much as I want to hate on Williams, what are you sitting here at, Chad? What are you, 2-2?
2-2.
So how are you going to complain? It's
Not
like,
complaining.
it's just, it's don't compare it yet, people. Just give Williams some time. He's got a lot more growing pains than this, but there's just these little moments that get me so excited about him and what his prospects are going forward. And the biggest one is he's finding ways to win right now. And we talk all the time of football. You know, that's the hardest thing to do. Same with Bo Nix. Like, again, we're not going to really talk about it because we didn't bet it, but it's like when you're a rookie and you can just find a way to win. I think at one point Bo Nix was 7 of 15 passing for -7 yards.
Yeah.
And he still got a win today. And it's like, if you're a fan of your team, that has to be the most exciting thing when you can just win these ugly games when you have a rookie quarterback. So, yeah, Bears fans, you should be feeling pretty good being 2-2. It's like that to me, if we're looking at your guys' 4 games to start the season, this is right where I thought you would be. It's just you just had a really tough start. It's nice they're coming out 2-2.
I will say another game that I've put on the list of early lines to discuss Bears Carolina. Simon Hunter, for the first time this season, I'm going to ask you a very important question. You ready?
Yeah.
What's the best ticketing app in the United States?
To me personally, Game Time.
Oh my God. For a second, I thought you were going off script. I'm like, does he not know we're doing a read right now? As many of you know, I'm a big fan of Game Time. I use it all the time. In fact, I'm going to open up the app right now and browse through seats using Game Time Picks, which shows me the best deals on the best seats. So I don't have to waste my valuable time searching through thousands of tickets for right now. For example, right now, I can find, let's say, a game in Philadelphia or a game on the campus at the University of Maryland. And Seat Views shows me exactly what I can expect to see when I sit down. Plus, when I use Game Time's all-in pricing feature, I see the total price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code favorites for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account and redeem code favorites for $20 off. Okay. Washington, Arizona. I'll be completely honest. I never actually bet the Cardinals this week. I know they were in the contest. We liked them a lot. I felt okay getting them in the contest at 3.5 because I did think the Cardinals were the right side, but I wanted a little bit more insurance and I kept waiting for the number to get to three, waiting to get to three. I didn't want to pay the premium to get to -3. So it just didn't happen. Not too sad about that now, but they are in the contest for us. Jaden Daniels, talk about a contrast. And I'm not comparing Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels like, oh, the Bears made the wrong pick. But Jaden Daniels is nimble and light and sort of alert in the pocket, right? Like he's not just mobile for mobility's sake. He's mobile because he's seeing things and making himself difficult to bring down, no matter what the circumstances around him. He's amazing. This team doesn't punt. They score at will. They gain 500 yards like it's a first down. I don't know what to say about this guy. He's unreal.
Yeah, and just I mean, if there is a team that is going to make the wrong pick, it is going to be the Bears. But it's impossible for them to know that. They couldn't have made the wrong pick there. Like to me, there's too many things with Daniels that um this is all like I just can't believe how good it all is right now. He literally
Yeah.
looks like he's back in LSU. Calm as a cucumber back there, picking his spots. I mean, even when there's pressure, he makes the right read to step up. Um, it's crazy, especially because I had a lot of money on different bets in that game. I think I lost every single one, and it was mainly because I was just like, this kid can't do it again. Like it's just that's historically a bad spot for a rookie. The team would get hits on him, make him uncomfortable early in that game, and then I thought it would just go south. It went the other way. Like they came out first drive touchdown, second drive touchdown. Like you said, I don't think they punted until the third quarter. Just an incredible game for Daniels. If you're a Washington fan, this is literally the dream. Like your team had no expectations. You got a trash defense. You got an offensive line that's kind of thrown together. And, we love McLaurin, we love Robinson, but it's like, okay, there's some pretty good weapons here, but what's the best chances they're going to be maybe the third or second seed in this division, NFC East? I mean, it's not crazy to think if this kid doesn't get hurt and they keep on improving week in and week out, they could easily be fighting for this division at the end of the year. Like the Eagles, Dallas, they're not bulletproof. These teams
No.
do have issues. So it's like, yeah, if I was a Washington fan, I think them and the Vikings have to be the two highest fan bases right now. Like this is
Oh,
got to
yeah.
feel so amazing for both these guys. So, the Daniels thing, you nailed it. It's like, I'm going to make adjustment to it. I'm not going to overreact too much to it, but it's definitely that he's in a spot now where it's like, okay, this kid is for real. Like he's not just going to keep beating up on bad defense. He's literally taking what the defenses are giving him and he's being accurate. And like that's the hardest thing as a rookie is being consistently accurate, and that's what he's doing. So, me and you have the same view of it. That kid is one dumb run away from taking one bad hit and it all being over. But through 4 weeks, he's surviving all these hits. So it's like, okay, this kid in his college career survived all these hits. He's doing it again in the pros. Maybe he's just built different. That's just the way it is. So, really exciting times right now in DC.
It's a throwback, but I keep thinking about RG3 when I watch him. Very similar
Yeah.
circumstances, right? Andrew Luck, RG3, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. RG3 was amazing his rookie year, gets that team to the playoffs, injures his knee because he's so mobile and thinks he can always get out of trouble. Injured his knee, I think, in a play in the pocket. That's what I worry about with Jaden Daniels, like some fluky thing because of his mobility and his belief in himself to get himself out of trouble ends up playing him into trouble because we've seen it. We saw it with Andy Richardson. Like these quarterbacks who are super mobile and can get themselves out of trouble will sometimes run themselves into trouble. And he's a hip pointer away, right? It's just that's what you worry about.
Yeah, but like I was saying, they've been smart with it. Where the only time he's taking dumb hits is when he does scramble plays, right? When he just tries to take guys on. When they've been designing a lot of his runs, they design it where he's either
Yes.
going outside or he's just falling forward. So he's never really taking these direct shots. I mean, they've been telling him too, and he just talks about it literally every game. He's just like, I know I need to get down and not take the unnecessary hits. And this game was a perfect example. He had two different times where he could have taken a hit. And it's good to know in his own mind, he was like, I'm up 10 points right now. I don't need to run through this guy.
Yep.
I can get it now on the next down. So, yeah, it's like CJ from last year. Like these guys came in and you just can see it right away where it's like, okay, dude's probably going to have a 5 to 10 year NFL career just on based off what we've seen through a couple of games here. And I felt the same way about CJ. So, yeah, what can you say? Can't say anymore. That was a terrible read. Um, I can't believe this rookie just put up 45 on the road. Just back to back weeks of just an incredible offensive display by Washington.
Preternaturally calm and comfortable. Matt Mitchell, I know you're listening to the show right now as the producer.
No
Do not
chance.
hate me, but we are headed for a conversation about Cliff Kingsbury as a head coaching candidate if this Washington team wins the division and Jaden Daniels wins Offensive Rookie of the Year
That's
looking
true.
this good. You could hear like the announcers start to talk about Cliff
I feel so
Kingsbury.
bad for Chicago because right when you're saying this, it's popping in my head. It's like, oh my God, him in Chicago.
Oh my, it's like
Train wreck.
right, like they were starting to talk about here's what Cliff Kingsbury learned from his time with the Cardinals, and this is what he would do different if he was a head coach again, and this is why he's running the offense this way and using more run and playing using different blocking schemes and not going four wide. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be a head coach. Kansas City at Los Angeles Chargers. Simon, for the fourth week in a row, we have won our Tommy John Big Balls Bet of the Week. Is it because Tommy John underwear makes us so comfortable? Is it because Tommy John underwear keeps us from sweating? Is it because every time we're wearing Tommy John, we are so confident we can make the most outrageous bets we want to make and feel great that we're going to win? It's entirely possible because the Los Angeles Chargers were 7.5 point underdogs. They were our big balls bet of the week. There was never a moment in this game where I was sweating. And I remember you and we were discussing this game on Thursday, and I really wanted to play this game, and we were worried about all the injuries. And I went on this rant about John Harbaugh. Like his gift is telling his team they are going to be physical football players and they are going to will themselves into being competitive because he is speaking their most native language. He is saying, we are football players. We are going to beat up the people on the other side of the ball. And that is how we are going to stay in a game. And then on Thursday or Friday, I was going to send this to our Slack chain, our favorite Slack chain. Uh, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal about Jim Harbaugh throughout his career looking for fullbacks from defensive linemen. And he did it at Stanford, he did it at Michigan, he did it in San Francisco, and he's done it now with a guy in the Chargers. And that speaks to like his mentality and why these games are close. And it's why we didn't care. No Rashawn Slater, no Joe Alt, no Bosa. We're playing this game. Played exactly to type.
Yeah, and also I think it played to the number, which is what you basically were just like, we have to take this because of the number. I think we
Yeah.
both agreed where it's like, okay, if Herbert's playing, we might get a free point here, and this might drop to 6.5. which it did before kickoff, the number lands right on 7. Pretty tough beat if you have the 6.5, where, like you just said, it felt like the Chargers dominated that entire game. Couple of weird plays, not kicking field goals, had a missed field goal. I can't believe if anyone had the 6.5, you didn't cover. Just a brutal no cover on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, we loved it at 7.5. You could have got it at 8.5 at different points during the week. I told you the drop off in my model from going from Herbert to Heineke was staggering. And it was like, it had to be Herbert. If it wasn't, you were going to, even though we had a good number on Tampa, I was going to make us throw it out because I like Tampa anyway at +1. But it was like, I'm not taking Heineke. I just couldn't do it. And so I'm so glad we got word earlier this morning it was going to be Herbert. And you saw in that first half, right? He had a couple of throws before he got hit where it's like, that's why I love this guy in this hardball offense where he's not doing too much. He's taking the simple read. Then we saw, Herbert, not that it's old Herbert, but it's like once you start getting pressure on him, get him a little uncomfortable and he gets flustered. We've seen it time and time again now. The game doesn't really work out for him. So if you're a Chargers fan, I'd be pretty pissed off. Like that was a game I feel like they should have won. They played better than the Chiefs that whole game. But yeah, the Mahomes magic. I really thought the same thing where I was like, damn, I feel like an idiot telling Chad not to put this Chargers money line around Robin. No, it's Mahomes. He was eventually going to win that game. It's just what he does. And that's why I never take the money line of the Chargers against Mahomes. He just historically always beats them. The Raiders is different. We do bet their money line against Mahomes, but not the Chargers. So yeah, great read. Taking that one and the Bears. Yeah, great week for Chad.
Great week for Chad. Chad's feeling great about himself this week.
Locked in.
Kansas City, by the way, from Evan Abrams. Breaking news. Andy Reid saying that Rashee Rice has a torn, or not Andy Reid, Adam Schefter reporting that Rashee Rice it's feared he has a torn ACL. If you saw the play, it was devastating. Then if you saw that poor kid being carted off and just how devastating it was and how sad he looked. Mahomes is now 18-1 straight up in road neutral division games. The only game he lost was to Russ and Denver last year. Kansas City is now, what is that? 16-12 straight up in games. They trailed by 10 points at any point since 2019. The next highest win percentage by any team in that window is the Eagles at 28%. I mean, come on. That's how good Patrick Mahomes is. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. I don't know why. I thought Mahomes lost to the Raiders in Las Vegas on Christmas last year, but that must have been in Kansas City, which is even more insane.
He's insane.
Yeah.
But we did the right thing. I feel terrible for Herbert. Like, he was a sitting duck in that game. It was almost unconscionable that they had him keep playing because he could not move. And if he didn't get the first
read, he played well for not being able to move.
If it wasn't the first read, he couldn't do anything, right? And so that was too bad. But look, good week for us. Really excited. Creeping back into respectability in the contest. As you told me this morning, it's a long season, so we're just going to keep grinding. Time to
It is. That's why I feel bad. Where like I get why you stress and worry. Not that you're Joe Public, but like me, it sucks. I want to win here, but it's like, dude, it's such a long season. It's like you really can't stress about wins and losses. Even this week, we just won. I feel the same as I did last week, where it's like, all right, on to next week. Already look at the lines for next week. I obviously always want to win, but it's just we're in grind mode here. So, we got to get out of this pit we dug ourselves into. So once we get out of this little hole, I'll be happy. But yeah, that's the goal right now is to get above 500.
I don't get down about 1 week. I get down about multiple weeks. That's when I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we got to do this again.
Yeah, go listen to the week 1 tape.
You
get down after 1 week. It's okay. I won't hold it against you. I mean, I get it. It's no one wants to fucking lose. Me and you are very competitive. So I'm right there with you. It's just, there's sometimes you come on here, I'm just like, God damn it, Chad. God damn it.
I'm keeping it together today. I'm not going over the top happy today. I'm acting like I've been here before.
Okay.
You don't think so? You think I'm being too
I want you
ebullient?
to be happy. Literally, your favorite team just won. Your rookie QB's healthy, and you just said you're perfect in the app right now. You didn't lose a bet today. You
Yeah,
should be fucking happy, my man.
I'm happy. I'm so happy. I want to talk about next week's lines.
Let's go.
I identified 5 different games.
Holy
I'm not
shit.
gonna. I just want to see if you and I are aligned on any
No,
of them.
fire away. I love it.
Okay. Tampa Bay plus 2.5. I want them as a short division fave, a short division dog. We have that stat about division favorites um,
Yeah,
not doing well, 45% against the spread, short home favorites since 2016. You want to take Atlanta here.
of course I do. But
Yeah.
God damn it, Chad. Yeah, I got no read on that one.
All right. Well, we don't have to play it. Carolina plus 5 against the Bears.
Gotta,
Got it.
gotta.
It's like, that's a no-brainer. Bet it right
Yeah.
now. Like, we have to.
I
Um,
think anytime we're getting over 3 with you know, nothing against Caleb Williams, but just he has to earn a higher number from you. So yeah, if you can get a +5 right now in Carolina, I'd grab it right now.
I got Indy plus 3 only because it's a short home dog. I mean, a short road dog in the division against Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, like, we both liked Jacksonville this week. We didn't put him in the contest, but I do think this team is in trouble and figuring out who they are and probably losing confidence because they can't seem to win even when they have the game at hand. What worries me is we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Colts right now.
Even if it's Joe Flacco, I don't mind taking the +3, but it's like, yeah, this is probably really chalky, and this might be a spot we buy out of as the week goes along here.
Yeah.
But if
Or
it's
we just
Joe
wait.
Flacco, I don't mind taking it.
All right. Okay. Um, Green Bay was at 3 when we started the show on the road at LA. Now 3.5.
Yeah, right away I was like, you got to take Green Bay there. It sucks it's up to 3.5. I'd still take that.
Yeah.
The fear was Jordan Love wouldn't look right, and I wish I listened to us on Thursday because we kind of nailed it. Right, he just came
Yeah.
out not looking right. It took him a while to get comfortable, kind of get his legs underneath him.
And then he was
What?
amazing.
Yeah, this is like the perfect matchup for this team. This Rams team. I don't know when they're going to trade Stafford, but that has to be the move. It's just they don't have any pieces. It's just they're so dependent right now on Williams in that run game because it's like Stafford's having to force the ball in on first, second year players who aren't that good. It's just all bad for the Rams. So I'm with you on that Green Bay. I grab it right now, -3, -3.5.
Uh, this one is a little different. Dallas plus 2 at Pittsburgh.
I hate it. I know. I just like Pittsburgh, but I get where you're going with this. It's like this is usually where we fade the Steelers, but defensively, this is a great matchup for them. Being able to attack, they have 2 rookie tackles. Like this is what you dream about when you're talking about Pittsburgh and T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward. And on the flip side, Pittsburgh wants to run the read option. Like you saw today, they came back because they wore out that Colts team.
Yeah.
Same could be said for this Dallas team. So I'll grab. There's 1.5s out there. I'll grab that on Pittsburgh, but I get where you're coming from here with Dallas because it feels like a nice spot to buy low on them because they're gonna have extended rest as well. Um, I'm just trying to think matchup wise. I know I'm gonna favor this Pittsburgh team, but yeah, this is a tough line.
What did I miss? What do you got?
So ones that jumped right out to me right away, you can get Vegas right now as a +2 dog to Denver. I'm excited for Bo Nix. Back-to-back road wins coming home now. I mean, come on. Don't we have to take the
You
Raiders
have
here?
to take the road dog under a field goal in the division.
And I agree. Like especially in this number in this spot where it's like that one jumped out to me. It's like okay. I talk all the time how I think two is such a key number. It could go up to 2.5, go up to 3. Like I don't know if the pros will be on this one, but for me right now, that's a game I'm gonna grab right away. Um, the fishiest line I saw on the board, which again I thought you were gonna bring this game up. You can get the Bills right now -2 against Houston. Houston just barely beat the Jaguars. Like to me, Houston has not looked right. So that's a game I'm gonna throw a little on it just in case the Bills just absolutely roll the Ravens. So even though we were both on the Ravens, this is just kind of a hedge bet. And then the stinkiest line of the week: Washington's -3.5 against Cleveland. So we have an offense that can't punt. All they do is score. And on the flip side, we have an offense that if they don't have a 90-yard touchdown pass to Amari Cooper, it's painful to watch Cleveland try to drive the field. They're so bad, so inconsistent. I do not understand that line at all. Now, I haven't bet this Commanders line, but like right when we were talking about the lines, that one jumped out. And the last game, which I thought you were going to bring up, Bengals right now are +1 at home against the Ravens.
Yeah. Well, two things. The Washington game, and when we were watching the Washington game today, in my head, I was thinking, are they peaking even more? Is it going to be time to sell them next week?
I
And
wanted
look,
to
I
sell them, but
know
I thought this was going to be like 6 or 7. It's
it's
3.5.
it's
This is
three, but
crazy.
right. So something to me that feels fishy. Like, what am I missing that
Fishy.
the line is not bigger, right?
No, because
So
that makes me want to take the Browns. So,
that's what I'm saying.
um,
That's
and
why
that's what I'm saying. Same thing with this Bengals tier. It's like, why would we not take the Ravens? The Bengals suck. Like,
yeah,
their defense is atrocious. And, you know, there was a couple miracle plays today by Joe Burrow and Chase. And it's like, how consistent is this team going to be? And we all thought, the Bengals would eventually finally get their win. They're now 1-3. But, yeah, I was gonna want to take the Ravens in this spot. Now I'm just like, okay, apparently this is a good number to take the Bengals. Even in the action app, I know this is obviously insanely early, but it's like 90% of the bets and all the money right now is on the Ravens. So
yeah, it's a good
um,
spot to take the Bengals.
it feels that way. So again, we'll
Uh,
see what happens tonight. I'm not gonna bet it yet because if the Ravens they roll this Bills team, let us get a +3 on the Bengals. Then we're really cooking. So yeah, those are just early lines that jumped out to me, Chad, where, you know, if me and you were making like, got to bet it right now, I thought you nailed it right away with the Panthers bet. The
yeah,
other one for me is just that Vegas bet. I really like that number.
Panthers +5, Vegas +2. Those are the games that we'd probably bet right away. A little taste on Green Bay -3.5. The rest we're gonna wait and see how things go. Um, we are on the Ravens tonight,
Yeah.
-2.5. I also liked Raybon on Convince Me today. Like Josh Allen over his passing yardage total. It was at like 228 this morning, 230 by the time we were on the show. I don't even know what it's at now. I got it, I think, at 230.5. It's in the Action Network app. You can see that. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now, new Bet365 customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code favorites. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Catch our next episode live on Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel. We'll cover the whole NFL Week 5 board, announce our Week 4 contest winner. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe. Leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Till Tuesday. Love you.